Okay, at this time, we will call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Truttschel. Aye. Trustee Pfeiffer.
Here.
Trustee Myers.
Here.
Trustee Walschlager. Trustee Connor.
Here.
Trustee Ledke. Here. President Vanderstill.
Here. If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Trustee Truttschel.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody that would like to speak in public comments?
Annie Gribbington, 18 Runson Road. As everyone here is aware, St. Charles Church has been building a new cathedral. Since the project started, our tiny neighborhood has been plagued with cars lining both sides of the streets, not allowing us to get in and out of our driveways, find dirt from dump trucks inside of our homes as they worked all summer in 2021, and potential property damage as our driveway has cracked, or shifted, and our drywall is cracked. Renson Road will need major repairs at the conclusion of this project. In reviewing minutes from meetings that were held in the winter of 2020, it appears that questions arose regarding all the issues we eventually have had. To the residents of the Northfield subdivision, it looks as if the village didn't care to have any of the concerns actually answered. The building project was blessed, pun intended. There's nothing we can do about the giant cathedral that is located in our neighborhood. However, this new church has caused great issues for the residents. Fall Fest is coming up, and I can't foresee them having it anywhere but in the parking lot. So where does that leave anyone attending Fall Fest to park? Are we to assume that we will be relegated to our homes for the weekend? I also received a mailer today regarding the Planning Commission meeting next week. I will be in attendance and speaking during public comment. Someone needs to be forward-thinking when it comes to the end of this project. It has been proven that when St. Charles has multiple events going at once, they fill up their entire parking lot and they proceed to fill up our entire neighborhood. While Renson Road is a frequently used side street, it is not wide enough for two-way traffic and parking on both sides. I fear the day an emergency happens because on any given day, they won't be able to get through Renson or any of the side streets. The temporary signage that has been put up is great, but I believe it needs to be permanent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else that wants to speak in public comments? Or on Zoom? Okay. At this time, we have a presentation from the chairman of the county board, Mr. Paul Decker, who's going to give us an update on the county.
Thank you, Mr. President, and to all the fellow council members. It's a pleasure to be here and see you all again. I have the latest updates. Let me put this away. The county presented last week to the bond rating agencies. And this is how we maintain our bond rating. Waukesha County, we're very proud of our AAA bond rating. It allows us to borrow at the lowest possible interest rate. Our current rate right now is a little over 1%. And with inflation, we're looking really good with that. So we're hoping to maintain. We should know, actually tomorrow, we'll have what our next percentage will be for our borrowing. So when we do this presentation, we accumulate certain data, try to get the latest update on the statistics we have, what is happening in the county. I thought I'd share them with you because they are very pertinent to each village and city in the county as well, and you should know where we're going, and hopefully it'll help you in your decisions where you're going. So one of the things is we always present is who we are, where we're at, because these rating agencies are in New York and Chicago, so we kind of reorientate them that where we are. The latest statistics we have, the 2020 census showed that Waukesha County was 406,978 people. In that time, in 1 year, the growth in Waukesha County was over 4,000 people. We are now at 410,668 people. So we're still growing. Many of our communities are growing. You all know one of the problems challenges that's bringing all of us. People want to come here. They want to take advantage of all the great things you have all put together for the village of Hartland, and those of us that work on behalf of the county hopefully are trying to put together for them to want to move here. Great place to live, work, and play. Our equalized property values are over 66 billion, 686 million. That keeps going up, and you all know that here in Hartland, our values of our houses nicely are going up, but so is everything throughout the county. We don't foresee that is going to be going down despite what's looming on the economic horizon from a national standpoint. And part of that is some of the other economic news that we had to share in the call. And I'm not going to go through everything, but let's see, okay. So, the other thing is you should know that as a county, we keep a contingency fund that's about 16% of our overall budget. We look at, that's 4 months. If something disastrous happened, we could run for 4 months without any additional monies and nothing have to borrow. Our borrowing allows us also in that contingency, and allows us when emergencies come in our buildings, roads, or other challenges, we're able to pay for them immediately. We don't borrow further. About 86% of the counties in the state of Wisconsin, when they have certain expenses over, large expenses over 400 or more thousand, they have to borrow money to get that emergency item fixed. So that's an additional cost that our taxpayers do not have to worry about. Our year-ending value, where we had a change, was our amount of, I gotta make sure I get this right because it changed even more than we had forecasted. We put a reserve for delinquent taxes from a high of 11 million, and that's down to 3.2 million. We haven't had a default in 3 years, 22. So that's the other thing that's really good. The people that are living here are paying their taxes, and we're very fortunate for that, and so are you. Our property taxes for the 22 adopted budget are 90,370,378, and that's a change of 1.8%. Now, I don't have to tell you what that means. Is we're hoping to, when we look at the equalized value, we look at the assessed value, and with the building going on, we're hoping that we can squeeze out about a 1.4 to a 1.5. We had last year was a 1.5% net that we were able to increase, and as you know, that doesn't even keep up with inflation. We're anticipating inflation. Our anticipated inflation for the coming budget keeps on climbing about every month now, and at 1.8%, that's going to be a hard time covering that. So, just so you are aware, because those are things that are going to affect your budgets as well. Our levy rate per 1,000 equalized value has continued to go down. We're at now $1.68 per $1,000. In 2013, we were at $2.15. So that fiscal stewardship has helped the county taxpayers tremendously. And with that, again, I will remind this group, we are one now of 3 counties in the state of Wisconsin that does not have a sales tax. One of the very few. We are the largest county by a long measure that does not have a sales tax. That sales tax in this county last year would have accumulated about $40 million. So it's very nice when you're talking to the bond rating agencies, you go, hey, just in case you want to know, we've got this right here. And for your county board chair, I will say that I'm known for my fiscal prudence. That's about where it's going to stay. So we look at what we can do to fiscally try to work around that. Our population growth, as I said, continues to grow, and we are seeing that also our businesses and business types, as Robin would know, are also growing and diversifying. Our information systems area is one of our fastest growing areas. So AI, companies that also do that kind of work are either starting here or moving out here or increasing their business here. The nice thing about our business and why the fundamentals for this county, for this region, and for this state, and this again according to some of the outside information we get, in Waukesha County, manufacturing accounts for 18% of the jobs. When you add construction, which is another 8%, that's 26% of the jobs in Waukesha County are in high growth and high wage jobs. And those are mostly, now as you all know about manufacturing, a lot of that is very skilled labor. The only challenge that manufacturers have in this county, they're looking for more people. Because a lot of us have silver hair and they're looking for people. And I'm sorry, I didn't bring any fairy dust with me. We can't just suddenly make a bunch of 35-year-olds. We just don't have that. So, but we're looking for them. Education and health account for 17%. The retail trade, transportation, logistics, as you know, in the western part of the county with Target and Roundy's, that's a 20% increase. And if you've seen what they're paying people to work in those warehouses, it's impacted. I talked to Torn this afternoon. It's impacted everything from retail on up to our county, for us, corrections officers, because if they can pay 22 or 25 bucks an hour for relatively low-skilled labor, it reduces our recruiting pool tremendously. The only one that took a hit in COVID in this county was leisure and hospitality, which took that nationwide. But we've had pretty stable business there. As you all know, good luck now getting a table any place that's of a decent restaurant. And if you want service, well, that's another thing. But again, those are the fundamentals. The other thing is that one thing I wanted to point out, construction is also one of the leading areas of employees and employee growth. It continues to show growth in that area. So education and health are another area of growth. And we also see that information services, as I said, we're starting to see some diversity in that, and that's starting to grow. And manufacturing is also showing very, very steady. Manufacturing, and I know Robin can back me up on this, would show growth if they could find people. And that brings me to another thing that affects us here in Hartland, as well as throughout Waukesha County. Our housing mix is not exactly prevalent to bringing in a lot of people in their 20s and 30s. We don't have that stock right now. We also have a large number of people that are over 65, and these people, myself included, are the people that help build and make this county what it is. They'd like to stay here, so they're looking for someplace to downsize to. So that's our squeeze right now, because if they could move to someplace to downsize, stay in Waukesha County, they'd free up their homes so we could bring in hopefully more young people. So that's one of the conundrums that we have in Waukesha County. And as my friends in the northern part of the state, on a couple of state boards, they go, lucky you, since we have that's a challenge they'd love to have. Income trends, and I thought you would love to hear this. Per capita income in Waukesha County is about $76,000 per capita. The national average right now is $59,000, and the state of Wisconsin is $55,000. So that's a significant difference between our corresponding counties, the rest of the state, and the United States. So that's a big part of our quality of life and why we're doing so well. And then the last one I'll leave you with, before talking a few other items, unemployment rate. And I know I don't have to tell anybody here that's running a business. We effectively look at officially at about 2.9% in Waukesha County. And we are probably slightly lower than that. And we are working very diligently with the schools, with WCTC, the colleges, to try to keep reinforcing workforce development here in the county and try to keep and retain people here. And I know I had a conversation with Chief Misko, and he keeps taking people from the county, and so we're having a hard time trying to keep our department full. And that's a big ordinance coming in front of us this month. Any questions on any of that data? So that's the data. The other thing is, as it pertains to you, we are resetting because of what we have, the ARPA funds. The county received over $78 million, strictly by population. We've allocated quite a bit of that to, what we looked at is what the rules were, and we've allocated it to a lot of that, some capital projects. We've paid all our COVID-related bills that we can scratch up, find, and look for. We've actually set some aside in case there is an outbreak. And we've looked at what other items we can then designate it to. So that's giving us a chance to look at some capital projects, and that is, it's going to give me a chance to look at, I've talked with Ryan, and to look at other road projects. And I'm competing with 24 other county board members, so I don't promise anything. But we're all looking at what are areas that are of need, that will actually help development, that we can use, maybe use some of that money for. I'd prefer that it's used on, not on operating. That's just my preference, but on on capital projects, because it's one time, and we don't have to search 3-4 years from now. So, oh, we spent that. Where do we find how to pay for that? That's not a fun part of our jobs, as you know. So that's probably the major items. 3 other things, and I want to thank again the chief for working with our people. Drug interdiction and challenges with the county. We've had 21, I heard we may have 22, deaths related to overdoses since the first of the year. And that continues to climb. It doesn't show any sense of declining. We are getting inundated by fentanyl. We're not any different. And probably part of the other economic trends of being a quote-unquote wealthy county is that's what hits us. So we are trying to do a better job of interdiction, working with the feds and our local agencies. Our sheriff is, as we speak, working to help even boost our ability to fight that here in Waukesha County. And we're very excited for that. But it is a challenge. Our other challenge that came out of COVID, when it's been always there. I guess one of the biggest surprise, I'm in my 6th term now as county board chair, has been a number of mental health issues within the county. And this is where we have the biggest challenge as a county, because there's a lot of programs that the states and the state primarily, but the feds also, they like to start, and they fund them here, and they let them go, and as the years go by, they keep funding them here, and the costs go up. And we have to make up those costs. So right now, about 42 to 44% of our current budget, and we're looking at the same next budget, are unfunded mandates. Basically, you must do this as a county, that's by law, but we're not, go ahead and try to find the money. Now in this county, I will be honest with you, we're very fortunate. We have some very good grant writers. We're utilizing those grant writers, a lot of charities, a lot of people help us in this county, so we're very, very glad for that. And that leaves me with, when I say that, a lot of the growth that we have in volunteerism is also working in our favor. So a lot of people are getting involved. We appreciate everything you all do, working with the schools, the local schools. Being aware is probably the biggest thing, as Chief Biscuit can tell you. And trying to get across, you see something, say something. But it is getting mixed, fentanyl is getting mixed with a lot of items, and as any pharmacist knows, that mixture is more often deadly. We are also, large use of Narcan continues to go up. So that's another challenge. So we are one of our big successes in the last 4 or 5 months. We got a grant, and we put somebody from Health and Human Services in, basically in our sheriff's office. And what that has done is it's allowed us, when there's been a call and it's a mental health issue, a person with mental health capabilities assesses, goes out, and either becomes part of the call or helps the deputies and any other local law enforcement through the call. And we've reduced paperwork and response time by close to 30%. So, and now we're getting to the point where we can divert people, keep them out of our jail where it's not a really good place for that, and get them to the right care and right programs right away. that saves us money and time. So, that's what we're doing. So, that's where we are. Thank you, Mr. President, for the time. Yes.
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt, are you done? or-
Yes, that's it.
Healthcare is a big problem. We have to buy equipment, that's our problem. But every meeting we have, we're signing off on $500,000 worth of medications. Over the years, the county's tried to put the fire departments and police together. It hasn't worked, it's not gonna work. But why don't we have a buying group for the medical? Why doesn't the county take a step forward and get a buying group for medical, the pills, and things that we can't get, or how backward are they? And every one of our, healthcare is a big thing. Our community's getting older, and we have got to have that, we need that support. And the county doesn't have to pay anything, because they really kind of tight pockets. But if you could get some part of the organization, you're putting people here, putting people there to do it, make it a buying group for the medical, our EMTs, our paramedics, for each one of our communities. It's gonna save us probably $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. And that's gonna be about $1 million after a couple of years.
I'm glad you brought it up, Mike. One of the things that I work on, one of the boards I'm on is Wisconsin Counties Association. We're working with the League of Municipalities to do just that. They're looking at what can they do to form a bigger buying group. It's being fought, quite honestly. Certain people in the state legislature don't like it because we'd be reducing costs to taxpayers, but that means somebody's losing, quote unquote, some revenue. But we are looking at what we can do within statutory capabilities of something like that. But I will continue to press for that.
It just seems that for absolutely nothing outside of a person, to get this organized and getting run is something.
Be careful when you say outside of a person. Every person is about $130,000 now, so.
Well, yeah, I know we have police officers and people and administrators that make that much too. But you got bigger pockets than we do. And the county's got to take a step forward in that. They have to take care of that medical, because medical's going to drive us right down the drain.
You're exactly right. It's a tough cost. We know equipment's a cost, administration's a cost, so we are constantly looking at what we can do to be more efficient, more effective.
So are they thinking of a buying group?
Like I said, I know it's been talked at state level, because they think they'd have the biggest bang for the buck there. So we are hoping that we can make that happen.
So they're just talking about it, not really doing anything.
Well, you got to start putting it together, and you got to construct the idea. What we're going to probably end up doing is, like every other program that I know that we've done since I've been in this job, look for a grant, look for some other way to start focusing it, prove it can be done, and then let people join to save the money.
Well, that's the thing. I want to make sure we get this started while you're still here.
We'll try to do that.
That hammer, so, okay, that's just I think it's a critical.
I appreciate you bringing it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for your service. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Paul.
This time, we'll take up the item of consideration of village board minutes from the April 25th, 2022 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the board minutes of April 25th, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the April 25th meeting. Discussion.
President, I have one. Page 2, item 4, last statement, I abstained to the approval of the conditional use permit for the preschool and childcare facility at 123 Long Street.
What page was that?
Page 2,
Okay.
item 4.
Oh, thanks.
So if we can just get that updated in the minutes to show the record.
That?
Thank you.
Anything else? I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Got it. Now we have consideration of vouchers for payments in the amount of $387,689.49.
Motion to approve the voucher for payment in the amount of $387,689.49.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the vouchers or approve payment of the vouchers. Any discussion on any of those items? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have actions related to licenses and permits. Oh, we have, this is restricted species permits. This is from Carl Baumgartner for 6 chickens, Thomas and Mallory Halstern for 6 chickens, Jacob Nygam for 3 dogs, and Jacob Zool for 3 chickens. I believe 3 of these we already had at the last meeting, so if anybody has any questions or concerns, I know that some of those people aren't here, but I think it should be noted they were here last time.
The only thing I noticed on the application for Carl Baumgartner, there was no signature.
I believe we talked about that at staff. That's because it's, I believe it is, wasn't it filled out electronically and emailed, so there's no signature with that, but yes.
So then moving forwards, will the application then be signed, or will it just stand unsigned?
We would leave it unsigned. It's considered an e-signature if they email it.
Thank you.
President Vanderstel, I think we were looking for the drawings of the chicken coops last time. That's why we didn't move forward.
Just in case.
Based on what I've seen, it seems like everything's been laid out pretty thoroughly. I'd make a motion, we accept all 4 applications.
I'd second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 4 restricted species permits that were on the list in front of us, or in our packets. Again, this is for Carl Baumgartner, Thomas and Mallory Halstern, Jacob Nygam, and Jacob Zool.
Just for the new board members, in case you weren't aware, we allow 2 dogs in the village. They just have to come forward with this restricted species to get additional.
His oldest dog is probably on its last hunt.
I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. We got everybody? So now we have items that were referred from the May 8th, 2022 Park and Rec Board. And that would be consideration of a request by Pat Endter for use of the warming shed. This would be for the beer garden. He is in the house, and if anybody has any questions, basically, he's making it possible to up the service times and decrease the wait times, because you're gonna have 2 areas where you're gonna be able to service from. Instead of just 1 line, you'll be able to have 2. I don't know if you wanna add anything to that, but I think that's kind of, is that?
Dave, it was in his contract to use the warming shed, correct?
It was in his contract, correct. I attached it to the memo. It is on number 7D on page 2 of 4 of his contract.
It was already in there?
Correct.
I thought so, because they were talking about hot cocoa back then even, when we did it, so.
Hopefully not hot beer.
I've stood in the long line. I'll make the motion to request Pat Endter for, to allow Pat Endter to use the warming shed.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry,
I just looked, I was reading over the agreement, and there's a typo in here under number 3 for usage fee. It says village $500, but in parentheses it says $530, so just, if it's a legal document, just correct that.
It's on page 1.
Yep.
where's the mistake?
Page 1, number 3, under usage fee?
In the actual contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can make that update where it says 500 right here.
Should be 530.
Yep, it is. It started out at 500 several years ago, and it's gone up. Yeah.
Okay, I'll recall that question, just, or whatever you guys want to do. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item we have is consideration of renting the warming shed at Nixon Park.
This is referred to by the park board as well. We get reservation fees for everything, every shelter or building we have in our park system. Now that the DPW reconstructed that through money donated from the ice rink, We took it to the board, and the board thought that we should put that available for rent. We did a capacity study, the fire chief and I. We figured it's anywhere between 20 and 30 people for capacity in that warming shed. So the park board recommended that we add it to the park reservation application, $50 for residents, $90 for non-residents, and a $100 deposit. So if okayed by the village board, this will get added to the application, and we will print it as of tomorrow.
Who do you envision renting that?
Birthday party, small birthday parties, maybe a retirement party. I mean, there's no running water in it. They would still have to use the facilities that are at the Fine Arts Center or up at the Triangle Bathroom in Nixon Park. Gets them out of the elements.
What is the, would that be the same, just like with, so we would go, one of our people would go in, we'd post it with the permit, just like we do for picnics, and then we'd unlock it and leave it unlocked?
That is correct.
What's gonna happen in the interim there?
What we could do is actually give the person that rents it a code to get in, and then we can erase that code.
Okay, perfect. Because I would be hesitant for that. Let's say it was from 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. If it was just sitting open, you get some people that are adolescents in there that aren't, that are just wanting to have fun and don't realize the damage they're doing, and all of a sudden it's cool to break stuff. It could get a little dicey. Okay, anybody else?
I'll make a motion to move forwards with the park board's recommendation to add the warming shelter to a rental application.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the renting of the warming shed as sent to us from the park board. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have consideration of a car show and a bags tournament during hometown celebration.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Yogers. I'm the Recreation Director for the Village of Hartland. I'm kind of here representing Park and Rec Board. Craig Eisenhoot is also here to answer any questions in regards to this. The Park and Recreation Board decided that they wanted to add more to the hometown celebration on June 25th. As of right now, we all know that on Friday we have our fireworks, a few vendors, craft vendors, a few food trucks, in the fireworks and band music on Friday. But Saturday, we gone back and forth having things. The 5K will come back. We've had that in years past. We stopped because of COVID. But Park and Rec Board wanted to bring something else to the community on that day. And tossing ideas, looking into things, Craig kind of spearheaded having a car show on that Saturday from 10 to 2. And then another idea is from another member, Nick Miller, who is not here, about doing a bags tournament. What time do I have it down? From basically noon to 7. They'd be set up at 10 o'clock. But basically the idea is to bring people into the community. The car show would be from set up at 8, and then 9 to 2 would be the car show. 1 o'clock is awards. We would have an entry fee for the car show to help cover any expenses that we may have. We're looking at possibly bringing in live music from 10 to 2, kind of like background music, fun music, and then from 7 to 10 having a band just for at night to kind of keep the atmosphere going and everything. So the $10 per card, that would cover the little, we're talking about possibly, it's normal for car shows to get like a little plate, like a participation award, maybe some trophies for like, I don't know, best car, best engine or something. So that would help cover that. And then anything else would help cover the band or any music that we can bring in. We do not expect how many people to come for the car show, and that's why we put in there a request to, if there's any fees that the car show doesn't cover, to hopefully have the village board help cover with that. That would just be for the car show expenses and live music, and that could be anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 depending on the band. And of course, hopefully, if this is a success, we would have it again next year. More people, more entry fees. We're keeping it low this year at 10, just to kind of get people into the door, get the participants, the car show participants in. So yeah, I think that's it. I know on the application that was submitted, we kind of had to turn this over pretty quick. And since it's kind of a village, it would be a village hosted event because Park and Rec Board and obviously staff would be involved. We did talk about this and we did do an internal email versus signing off on this. And no departments have any issues or concern about this. Obviously, we would like to have the park blocked off at the entrances. If you look at my map, the orange is the barricades. And then we would start along Park and park the cars where it's pink ideally first. And then if we have more cars, which would be nice, we would take the green and go towards the baseball field. So the pink is the primary route, and then green is the secondary. And then the 5K is always kind of at the baseball field. So there would be an overlap, which we think is really nice. 8 a.m., 8:30 is when the 5K starts, and usually like around 10 o'clock we do awards so they can slowly trickle into the car show. And then obviously the bags would be there. So our goal was to have an overlap to get people there, get them interested. Right now, we have a couple of arts and crafts vendors that are going to be coming Thursday and Friday, and I might also extend to them, explaining to them that, hey, on Saturday we're having a car show. If they'd like to come and be a vendor, please feel free, because we're hoping that this event will expand. I believe that's all. If Craig has anything... Did I miss anything? I don't think so.
I think you got everything covered.
I got everything, yeah. Does anybody have any questions about this?
I don't, but I think we're gonna have to, I have a comment that I think that we're gonna have to loosen up more than 2 for a band. I mean, I think in trying to bring back the carnival, we're trying to make this an entire weekend event, and I think Hartland's worth it, but I'm hoping people will be open to
Oh, yeah.
making Saturday rocket. So
Yeah.
we have Friday, we have Saturday, we have the parade that ends it off, and I
Mm-hmm.
just think it's worth having, I think it's worth celebrating.
Yeah,
I think people in Hartland
absolutely.
will like it, and I think that's one thing that was always tough, is we have, gets really high, and then it's like Saturday morning, it's just like nothing. Saturday afternoon is, I mean, the beer garden helped lift that up some, but it was always, and then it's like, all right, now it's Sunday again, let's
Yeah.
go, it's like a,
Free time.
but I think that it's cool if we can do something on Saturday. I think this is a good step in the right direction to making it an entire holiday. Like, it's my understanding that historically that's how it used to be in Hartland, is that it was
Yeah.
a whole weekend of celebrating. Oh, was it?
It was on the 4th.
Oh, okay. I didn't,
It was never the weekend before. I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn. It was,
So,
it was-
but I
it
think-
was for the 4th.
I think it's a move in the right direction to making it
good.
more of a weekend celebration as opposed to just a few events over the course of the weekend.
My only thing too is making sure that the projected expense, because I could see a band being more than 2,000, so wanting to make sure that you're
I was
set
go-
up successfully for that.
Yeah, I was going off of like what my bands are. Usually on the weekend they want like 800, 600.
We're gonna go a little bigger.
You tell me what you'd like to spend.
I would also say quick turnaround as well, right?
Yes.
So they book up quickly.
Yeah.
And so that will drive the cost up a little bit now. I mean, we're already in May, so you're talking next month.
Yeah.
So, that's the only thing I would urge the board is I'm a little concerned, like they might need a little bit of leeway with that.
Figure if we go big and we can't get them, then we can scale
Yeah,
back
like
and then
go
maybe we can
up
get
to a
more.
certain amount and let
Right,
it come down.
right, yep.
That was my question. Do we have any idea of the cost? Because 50 cars would be $5,000, right?
I would have to look at
500.
bands.
Oh,
I'd have to, I mean, bands can be anywhere 1,200, it's usually like 1,200, 800, depends on the band. Like, how big do you guys want to go? You give me the budget.
Toys or somebody like that, that's got a
Talking
bigger
3,000
name,
to
you're talking
5,000.
3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Like, are we
That's what I
looking
was
that
thinking,
big?
35.
Like,
I thought
Bella
35
Cane,
was
you
a
know?
good
I
number.
mean,
That's just, because it is for Hartland, but I thought 35
I mean,
was a good number.
there's different sized bands, like Toys or Bella Cane, like really well-known bands.
Did we work on a sponsor for that?
In 2 months, like a month and a half? For next year, sure.
We'll see what we can do. At least we know that it seems that the board is a little bit open to spending some. So if we end up having 2 or 3 bands that are I'm not gonna say that they're lesser known, you know, not as big of a draw, but that's still gonna be fun.
It's a start, and then
And it's a
if
start.
we,
Yep,
in the budget time, kind of have a budget, then we can start
right,
in July when the budget, you know.
yep, yep.
But we just need a starting ground, and I
Yep.
think this is a good starting ground.
I appreciate the park board, and Craig and Nick coming together to put something on like this, because
Yeah.
it is a missing hole in the middle of the weekend, so doing that, it's just phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the car show / bag tournaments during hometown celebration on Saturday, June 25th. I guess I'd say have Kelly give us an update, maybe possibly of what the cost might be, so we're aware of that prior, based on that contingency.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded, due to time frame of getting bands, I'd like to amend that motion just to add into it that along with that, we're stating that that budget max would be for, I think I had someone that had an idea, but.
Yeah, I wouldn't exceed 4,500 for it all.
Correct. I
all
was gonna
in.
say 35, but 4,500
All
at the
in.
very most, so that she knows, because she can start working on, Kelly can start working on it right away. So I would propose that amendment of adding on exactly as the motion stated, and with a maximum budget of 4,500 for events that day and music.
All in, whether you tip them or whatever you're
Yep,
doing.
all of it,
It's
all in.
Right.
I'm making a motion to amend that, to add that to the motion.
Second your amendment.
It has been moved and seconded just to add that amendment, just so everybody knows the motion was the motion. This is just adding on to it to include that budget amount. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
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 So that motion's been amended, or all opposed? That motion's been amended, now we got the motion on the floor. So it just includes that there's a $4,500
Yep,
max.
no, I'm fine to add that
Cool.
in.
Anybody have any discussion on that? In case that was confusing, all we did is just added a budget amount to a,
Kelly, did you have any concerns with that amount? Does that seem like a,
I like that amount.
I was trying to read your face. I thought you did, but I just wanted to make sure.
I mean, if you guys
I'm
want
the
to give
only
me
one
more,
who would
at
ever
first I was
care
like,
about
well, I'm not
amounts.
getting a budget, this is awesome.
you see rainbows are shooting out.
I know, my eyes are
Reports
good.
are flying.
Going through my,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. We should be moving on to other items of consideration. I have to step away for a minute, so I'm just gonna take a quick brief recess. I'll be right back. Right. So, thank you for allowing me that recess. We will now move to our next item on the agenda, which is consideration of a contract with the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection for weights and measure inspection services.
Just a little background on this. This is a state requirement. They have to go into any of the facilities that have items that need weights or measures, like the scales at a Piggly Wiggly. There's, I don't know, what do you think, 10, 15 organizations that they have to go in, or a couple more? Laundromats, that type of thing. So it's required, and this is actually going down from previous years.
What's hard to believe is that the state used to do that for free. And about 6 or 7 years ago, they decided they're gonna let the communities pay for it. I just don't understand how a state could ever do something like that. It's crazy.
We do bill the companies that, so essentially, we get billed and then we bill Piggly Wiggly and all the laundromats, that type of thing.
So that essentially zeroes out?
Yep. Okay, well, since we have to do it by state law, might as well do it.
Make a motion that we move forward with the contract with the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection for weights and measure inspection services.
Second?
Been moved and seconded to move forward with the contract with the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection for weights and measure inspection services. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item we have is consideration of visual sewer lining proposal for Cottonwood Ave.
So the Village of Hartland does televising on all of our paving projects, and what we get out of that televising is the status of our sewer mains underneath the roads that we're gonna pave the following year. This year, our lining is requested to do is on Cottonwood Avenue, underneath the railroad tracks, and then towards the Piggly Wiggly more on Cottonwood as well. I attached some pictures in the brochure. As you can see, that the pipes are fractured. So the concern is when we do put a vibratory roller on there to compact the asphalt, we're concerned about sewer failure of the sewer main. So what we do is we put a lining in there, and the lining has structural integrity if there's a pipe already there. So that's why we line before we pave. So this year, we have 600 feet on Cottonwood. It came in at $75 per linear foot, which came in under the budget. We have a budgeted amount of $65,000. But included in that, we're gonna have to put, they charge time and material, because underneath railroad tracks, they do not use clay pipe. They use cast iron pipe, and cast iron pipe gets scaled. So what we have to do for $305 an hour, and not to exceed, what did they say?
3,600?
Yes, so not to exceed that $3,600 is they need to come in there with a reamer. They'll go from one manhole to the other, go back and forth with the reamer, just to get that scale off, so then they can line it, because otherwise it's not gonna adhere to the scale. So staff recommends awarding the 2022 sewer lining contract to Vision Sewer Incorporated for the sum of $44,469.50, with an addition of $305 an hour to ream out the pipe underneath the railroad tracks, and that will not exceed $3,600.
Delhart's used this company exclusively, and put from Neshota all the way to Delafield line. It's tremendous, because that stuff's not gonna break. We put that down there, we're not gonna worry about it ever again, that line. That's gonna be fine. And I'll make the motion to approve this with visual sewer for the sewer lining as outlined by Dave.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve this lining, or the visual sewer contract.
Dave, may I ask, what kind of warranty does Visual Sewer provide with their work?
To be honest with you, Tom, I would have to look into that, but we haven't had a failure. I've been here 28 years and they've been doing it for 28 years. We haven't had a failure of their linings yet.
I was looking at the contract. I didn't see what sort of warranty they would put behind their work, but
I will get that information and put it in my staff update on Thursday for the village board.
Anything else for discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you, Dave. Discussion and consideration of surveillance camera for the municipal parking lot. Chief?
Good evening. I was asked, we had this topic a month ago, and I was asked just to get some information regarding the businesses surrounding that municipal parking lot. I put that in an updated section of my memo, so you have that information regarding what's available there as far as privately owned camera use. As you can see, it's limited. And then I did reach out to our Verizon rep that we go through for the different cellular MiFi camera devices that we utilize. And that was recommended by our security camera company that we use here at the Village Hall and the DPW. And I had a follow-up question for him because I was a little confused when he said each camera needs its own internet device. Because how do like homes then operate off when they have multiple cameras? So I followed back with him to ask him about that. And he said what they would do is they could operate it off a MiFi device or like a mobile hotspot device. Those devices aren't made for outdoor use. So we'd have to try to house that. And then with the amount of area and then where the cameras, because they're consuming high data with video, he could not really say how well the video quality or even the connection would be to any of those devices. So the one concern is if we only add one camera to that parking lot, are we really not getting what we need out of it either way? So a parking lot that size would probably take 2 to 3 cameras to properly cover for surveillance needs. Like we do just this parking lot out here, we have 4 different cameras that get the outside of the building, and there's areas that are incomplete with that. So we would need multiple cameras, and he could not give us for sure how well that MiFi device, but he said he would definitely not utilizing it in an outdoor environment. So it definitely brings some hurdles with how we want to proceed with that project.
And according here, it says none of the current property owners had any interest in adding cameras.
Correct. Yeah, we went door to door, and the ones that didn't have any availability said there was no plans in the immediate future or near future to add any.
Yeah, I guess I find that a little disturbing, but at the same time, that's their prerogative. But looking at the cost factors, I was wondering if we made a proposal to them that, like, my business doesn't pertain, but if it did, add one more camera to my current existing system. So what is the charge there? Either I need it myself, or with the cost that, we're talking $400 a camera and another $40 roughly a month to maintain it. If there's 3-4 cameras, we just paid for the camera and an added camera to their current system, if that's something they would be interested in doing. So it'd be no cost to them, but you'd have in-house coverage, and then to the point that we need 120 days versus 30, I would assume that most businesses have at least 100, I don't know, just an option.
Mm-hmm. Now, you'll see it in the memo, there's not a lot of availability to add because there's not much already existing in that area. So they would have to start the program on their end, kind of thing.
I guess I would assume that they had cameras already in their facility and they just didn't want to add another one to the parking lot. It was how I interpret that, so my error.
Yeah, it's very limited. I was not going in a ton of detail with it, just for.
That would also be their property, though, essentially,
Correct.
if we were utilizing their Wi-Fi. So if there was a specific, I brought this up last time, if there was something
I think
sensitive. we
due to
didn't want-
public safety and the amount
Yeah.
of security that we're getting into on that parking lot, I think we should hold this over, and then each one of you could talk to Chief individually outside of the meeting, only because
And I definitely do think your Trustee Connor's idea is a good outside the box thought. I just think we're not quite there to add to at this point. And then I would also caution And it's almost, even with this particular parking lot, it becomes one of those things where, okay, we have it there, now where's next? And if you approve it for one, how do you stop for others? And it gets to be an interesting issue down the road. Something like this, I could probably complete within my budget for that one project, but we add any other cameras or monthly reoccurring costs, that definitely is gonna eat my budget fast. As you can see, this adds up very quick, and then those charges never go away and they're annually gonna compound. So it can definitely bring downstream budget impacts.
I think it was good to look into, and I think we just gotta kinda keep it there and know that the time will come.
And I think
When maybe there's a way that we can entice those businesses. I don't think we have to rush right into it, but I think it's definitely something we're gonna keep on looking into. Obviously, if something like what happened last summer happens again, I think we'd really be jumping on it. But it's only once in how many years? I don't know how often we've had, break-ins to cars, but that one time was pretty bad, but it also was centralized cars right next to each other, that it was maximum damage as fast as possible and then get out of there. And I mean, they tried to steal them and whatever, but it was all boom, boom, boom. It wasn't like it's just a continuous round after round after round or wave after wave of car break-ins, but I think it's something we need to really keep.
And I know from the public safety perspective, we're adding those light bollards along the trail. Those are starting in about 2 weeks. Touch base with Director Felkner on that, just to ensure that's coming, to bring some lighting to that area. We'll obviously always continue to do our normal patrols, and we make that one of our highlighted areas to make sure we're going through there from time to time, make our presence known. But I would agree with you, if it was a more of a nuisance type of an issue or an ongoing issue, I think we would need to get more creative and figure out ways to really stop it. But with it being a one-time effect, I don't know if we want to throw that kind of money at the project with the technology we have right now. As we see these technology advancements are coming fast, and maybe this time next year or 2 years from now, we got a whole different set of cameras that we can utilize for very efficiently and cost effective.
Yeah, and I wanna look into even using the light pole. If you have one camera, 4 cameras, one going shooting in each direction that's covering that whole parking lot, it's already on something that's got electricity going through it, and possibly you can put a box or something right at the light pole that will house whatever you need for the Wi-Fi. I mean, I haven't looked into it, I just have trouble believing it doesn't exist.
Yeah, we did talk about some of that for powering reasons. It's just more right now, the Wi-Fi internet capabilities.
Well, thanks a lot for looking into that.
Chief, the system was Alro, right?
Arlo,
Or
it's a common home type system that anyone can buy, and Verizon offers that through their system. It's actually a system we utilize with one camera that we can deploy and monitor troubled areas from time to time. Ours is battery powered, so it's temporary, but we utilize that if we have an issue with vandalism or any other type of extra patrol where we're trying to catch someone in the act. We can deploy that, and then we get real-time alerts in our squad car with that system, so we can then immediately deploy to the area and then also have the video evidence on the back end.
Have you also heard of Lorex as an alternative to that company?
I'm not familiar. We use Central One. They just were purchased out through Engineered Security Solutions, I believe is the company name for internally. We contacted them. They were the ones that recommended Arlo to us, and our Verizon, who we utilize for our phones and our own temporary camera system, carries that system, so we reached out to them to follow up.
I was just looking into different systems, and Lorex was rated pretty high for night vision, LOREX. Just another one to maybe check into.
Yeah, and we have very good quality with the Arlo system. I think in this particular case, it's more, how do we get the quality internet service to that location at this point?
The next item we have is, unless anybody has anything else on surveillance. The next item we have is a discussion related to modifying the parade route. I'll turn it over to Administrator Bailey.
So we've actually talked about this for quite a few years. This is just an idea we're bringing forward, obviously with some of the safety concerns for parades now, but we had talked about this previously. Our parade starts on Hartbrook, goes down Merton, down Capitol, and then it used to go down Cottonwood and into the park, and everybody kind of got to the park and just, well, the idea obviously is to get people into the park, but the hard part is, once you're in that parade, Arrowhead Wrestling had 30-some kids that were all dropped off and all had to get back over to Sendik somehow. Because you have multiple people walking in the parade, and once the parade is going, you can't get back over to Sendix. You literally have to go all the way around North Shore or up 83 and go around Arrowhead. So the idea, we talked about this at a staff meeting recently, everything that kind of went on in Waukesha. We're looking to try and make the route more secure. We talked with police, DPW, there's some other outside organizations if we need, about trying to block off the parade route. I know your intersection where you live has about 500 people that stand there. But trying to get every road with some kind of DPW truck, fire truck, police vehicle, get it so that the route is maintained so that people can feel safe. I won't go into, I mean, there's obviously things can happen, but instead of going down Cottonwood into the park, the parade essentially would turn right, go back, go down North Avenue, and go back towards the Hartbrook Mall, Sendix Plaza. It would get everybody, because you have all the animals that are dropped off here with their trailers. They actually drop their trailers off here, do the route, get the horses back. So just trying to, we don't have to do anything. We just thought this might be a more safe, secure route. You're limiting access. We would have 16 shut down for people exiting and people getting on. We would have an off-ramp where people could go around and people could get on here, so it wouldn't be completely blocked, but we would have fire trucks or DPW trucks or something kind of blocking access to that route. And we would end the parade with two plow trucks kind of in the back, keeping a distance in case anybody tried to come from the back. It's sad that we have to do this, but we're trying to make this as safe as possible for all the spectators, as we do have many thousands of people. I understand this would be an adjustment to some of the businesses along Cottonwood that are used to having people out in front of their business. So I guess we'll take the board's thoughts, and I don't know if any of you guys have anything else that you want to share.
I would just say, obviously in light of what happened in Waukesha, we were looking to harden our route. We also were aware of some of the issues with the different end and start points, which complicated things because our major north-south thoroughfares had parade traffic. So even when you stopped at Nixon, there was no way to really get back to Hartbrook to reunite well. So this was an idea that kind of close the loop. It's something Waukesha did with their new parade route, and then have that staging area as that final piece to kind of close that loop. And then we can harden any roadway egress, ingress or egress from that parade route through other vehicles, or even concrete GM type wall. But with some of that hardened, it's just going to be shut down for a little bit longer. And then, as Administrator Bailey mentioned, the tail end of the parade, we would kind of leapfrog from main road to main road, while the police department, would be the last vehicle picking up those no parking cones. Some DPW plow trucks would be at the next main intersection back, waiting for us to get to the next one, and just keep leapfrogging roads, so that wouldn't just be an immediate open and then cars right up on the police department's tailgate, which they do. I've almost been run over picking up cones because people want to get through that parade route and they're impatient. So this would really harden that, keep any mistakes or accidents from happening, but then even more so, anyone with ill intent, not to make it easy for them to do something like what happened this past year.
That sounds good from the safety standpoint of it, because I think that, in an instant when something like that occurs, I mean, the mind takes time to respond. So if you see a car coming at you, you automatically think, well, it couldn't be that bad. What's this person driving so fast for? But you don't realize they have ill intent. By the time you realize they have ill intent, they're on top of you. We're creating that dual system of safety. If it is DPW or if there's concrete barriers and you have that 150 or 250-foot gap, that if you turn around, anything coming at you is bad, it makes it a lot easier for you to make a decision on what you're going to do in the next 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. A lot easier. You know what I mean? If a car's coming through and if it's not DPW, it's bad. If they're going 60 miles an hour. I don't know. I do like that dual system of protection.
And then, even though that would cause a little bit longer delay on the back end,
Yep.
for roadway openings, that would allow crowds to dissipate. We obviously understand not all the crowd's gonna dissipate, there's after parade events going on, but that would allow for that dissipation to happen, and then a period of time for that to happen, and then it would all be back open to the public as it typically is.
Plus, I think if you look at the history, the parade used to end, while it ended at Nixon Park, it ended there because there were rides, there were
Yeah.
all kinds of activity going on, so it was a way to bring people there. And
And
I
that-
don't know that there's much activity going on Sunday afternoon in Nixon, right?
Now, we may want to bring back the carnival, where we may end up switching it again, I don't know, but people will be able to get back there. We'll have shuttles or something. I mean, I don't know what the history of the parade route was, but if the chief is saying that it's more safe to do it this way, then,
And staff looked at other roads. The nice thing about Hartbrook is it's so wide, it can house so many. Obviously, we would take this change through Hartbrook Plaza, talk to those businesses. People still have to get to Sendik's, to the cafe, to the bank, to Ace Hardware. We recognize that, so it's, you can see a little yellow line on here trying to make sure that people can still get around while blocking off, making everything safe. This is just a very easy route, and we looked at ways around Nixon Park that we could do this, but again, I think what we have, you try it out for a year and see what everyone's opinion are, if everybody's okay with it.
And one of some of the bigger differences is 16 will be impacted on both North and Merton, but we would leave the on-ramp going westbound from North open, so we'd still allow that like right turn lane from north, and then same thing, if you're getting off at Merton, you can go north if you're headed westbound. So there'd still be some availability, but we'd have to shut both the whole south side of 16 access down to Merton and north for the time being.
how do we do that? I mean, is the state okay with that?
We've done it for other events,
Okay.
and then for crashes and Arrowhead's hometown or homecoming parade. We've closed that down before in the past for the parade route. Or even, I believe, the Christmas tree lighting. One year we got backed up on the 16 and we had to temporarily close that down as well. So we have done that from time to time, and again, it's temporary for the time of the parade, but there probably will be a little added extra time because that route will increase slightly. And then our hope was to kind of end it at 16 there, and then it just get now double timing it back through to Hartbrook with the participants. The act, the show, the playing the music is over, and it's just now getting back to that staging location and then dispersing from there.
I think it's worth a try. I
Yeah.
mean, if you feel it's more safe, it's worth a try. I mean, there's no reason to stand in the way of it, so, or in my opinion.
I did think it brings some logistic improvements too, with drop-off, pickup,
Yep.
all being at the same location instead of trying to get across town when you're closing the town due to the parade.
Right.
It makes that difficult as well.
So I would say too, that if this is decided to move forwards, that be advertised, that we have changed those logistics. I think it will bring back a lot of youth organizations that have been slowly missing as the years have gone on because of that drop-off situation. They just can't get to the participants as quickly. So I would ask that we make sure we talk about that. And then also from a safety standpoint, I think that would be helpful for our participants to know that we're stepping up and really safeguarding our parade, and that we're welcoming that, and that we feel safe about it.
I know in our staff meeting, we made discussion of doing an address mailer to the businesses that the route would no longer, or the residents that it would no longer go, and then same thing to the businesses and residents that it would now add to for notification purposes. And then also with the businesses on Hartbrook, we would still allow access from the north off of Sunny Slope to all those businesses through those back entrances, and we'd harden it on the south side of those businesses. So their business would definitely be impacted with the traffic and everything going on and some road closures, but there would always be access to all those businesses throughout.
Again, this was just for discussion purposes. There's no vote needed. We just wanted to get the pulse of the board. If everyone seems okay, we'd like to try it this year. I anticipate every side road, everything would be blocked off to traffic for people, for accessibility. We're gonna try and make it as safe as we can, so.
Smart.
All right. Now we have consideration of the 2023 budget preparation calendar. Everybody listen during this because it's very important, because these are the dates that are set for the rest of the year, and it'll be certain stuff that's gonna come up in September, and when we get to September, sometimes people forget, but I strongly encourage you to put it into your phones, because the budget is extremely important.
So the two big ones for the village board would be Wednesday, September 14th, and Thursday, September 15th. It takes us, we used to do all of the board presentations in one day. About 8 o'clock, everyone got bored. So it does take a while. We have all the departments give a speech. I think both days now are probably about 3 or 4 hours each day. So I know we do 5 p.m., which is not always some people's favorite time, but we have to do, since it's a long day, we try and do a 5 to 8 or 5 to 9 both days. So if anybody sees a conflict with it, I think it's just those 2 days. The rest of the days are normal meetings. We're village public hearing, the November meeting, that's all normal, would be the 14th and 15th.
Yeah, let's get a motion on that, on the dates, if there's no issues. So we can accept the dates as set.
I'll make a motion to accept the dates for the 2023 budget preparation calendar.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the budget preparation dates of meetings on the calendar. I will just ask if this goes through, which I'm pretty sure it will, if you could just send out calendar invites.
Sure,
All the
I can do
trustees,
that.
that way if they want to, they upload it right into their calendar. Makes it helpful. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have consideration of appointments for a bunch of different boards, but I'm gonna just focus on Board of Review. That one's coming up quick. I still haven't made a decision on library, and there's a couple other ones there to take care of, and we have some stuff going on. But right now, I'm gonna do Board of Review as the trustee. Board of Review needs a trustee, a citizen member, and it has to be the clerk and the village president. And finance director, yep. Administrator / finance director / treasurer. I don't even know who was who. Trustee Myers will go on as the trustee. Trustee Truttschel will go on as the citizen member of Board of Review. I will be on, Darlene will be on, Ryan will be on. That covers us for that. But that would take a motion, a second, and a vote of approval from the board.
I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Review appointees.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Board of Review appointees. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried.
Real quick with that, by state law, we have to have a meeting to adjourn. We will do that May 23rd. We will have a 6:15 meeting for a meeting to adjourn to a later date. So just before the next meeting, we all get together, and that's it.
Okay, at this time, we have announcements.
I didn't have an announcement per se, as I just wondered if we could get the food truck first reading on the agenda. It was stated that we were gonna bring it May 9th.
It was requested to be moved to the May 23rd to keep this
Okay.
meeting a touch shorter.
Perfect.
It will be on the next meeting.
Thank you.
The lighting in around Nixon Park, progressing, people see these little black things sticking up, they're not growing. It's gonna be really quite a nice setup, and Dave, maybe you could touch a little bit on how we are and where it's gonna be.
So the bollards in Nixon Park should be completed this week. We're waiting for Dust to Dawn photo eye. They should be lit as of next week. We poured the concrete in front of the Fine Arts Center. That's where the paver bricks used to be. Them things were settling out and fading, the names were all wore off. So we also have 2 plaques being constructed with all the donors' names, so we don't lose who actually built that Fine Arts Center. So them will be mounted to the Fine Arts Center. The DPW also installed a brand new flagpole that was in the budget. They installed that up by the baseball diamond. That park is actually looking really, really, really nice.
Awesome. In the last few years, it is a lot of good. We're making some headway.
Yes.
Between redoing the
I would
baseball
agree.
fields and everything else you guys are doing over there and the more pretty trees. I don't know what other word to use, but back by the pond, when there was some of those that were just nasty, it's looking pretty good. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else, Mike? Okay, I don't have any announcements. Except for I am really excited about those lights.
I sent a couple quick updates. With Nora's retirement, Lori Matula Barr has transitioned into her full-time position last week. And we're gonna be moving our part-time admin assistant, Mark Jorgensen, to from our afternoon shift into our early shift. And we have 2 applicants that we moved to background to fill that now new vacant afternoon part-time administrative assistant position. Also want to bring the board's attention, these went out on my staff update, that Detective Paula Hoffa was awarded from the DA's office in recognition of National Crime Victims Week. She got an award for all her work with crime victims over the past year. And then also staff here met with St. Charles last week. We discussed some of the issues with construction and then more predominantly parking recently. And we did come up with the temporary sign that was already brought up. We're gonna have that in place and continue to evaluate that while they continue through their construction project over the next year. We're hopeful as new parking lots open up, we can reduce some of the impact in certain areas, but that will be on a day-by-day basis. So we'll continue to monitor that area. The other thing that St. Charles agreed to do is they're going to pay for all that signage and then also maintain it. So they'll be watching it. If signs needed to be replaced or are broken, they'll maintain that, make sure that they're put back in place on a timely basis.
Anybody else for any announcements? Okay. At this time, we have a consideration of a motion to recess to closed session pursuant to state statutes 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility regarding the interim village administrator, and to reconvene into open session pursuant to 19.85 Section 2 for the purpose of considering any action as may be necessary and appropriate. This would require a roll call vote.
I'll make a motion to recess as stated.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to recess to closed session as stated with the exceptions. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Truttschel.
Here.
Trustee Pfeiffer.
Aye.
Trustee Myers.
Aye.
Trustee Connor.
Aye.
Trustee Lucky. Aye. President Vanderstel.
All right. We will now take a little break before we end up in closed session. Thank you, everybody.
rest of the board that's been here longer than I have, you know, so.
It's not easy. Kitty doesn't sweat too much.
Yep, so it's 8:42 PM.
Okay, so, we're in open session. The only item we have is discussion and consideration of motion or motions as a result of discussion held in the closed session.
I will make a motion that we direct Hector to update the ordinances as required and to take the next steps towards moving forward with the contract with Mr. Bailey.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to direct our village attorney, Hector De La Mora, to update ordinances and move forward with the process of this contract as we've been doing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. There's only one item left on the agenda, and I bet you all know what it is.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting's adjourned.
Gentlemen, can I just grab you guys quickly?